Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Super Show. I'll start off this week talking about Faction Wars 6. Here is the update for Faction Wars 6. Last week I reported that one of the matchups, the matchup of Crime Wave versus Vibe Check, had been resolved. Crime Wave won by a score of 30-10. There are still 17 possible points to be earned, but if Vibe Check earned all 17, they still lose 30-27. So Crime Wave is moving on to Phase 3 of Faction Wars. We're currently in Phase 2 of Faction Wars 6. The next matchup I'll talk about, Flock of Florida Friends versus The Line, is even closer than it was when I talked about it last week. The current score is 30 points, Flock of Florida Friends, 28 points, The Line, 4 possible points left to be scored. If Flock of Florida Friends scores 2 more points, they will win. It'll be 32. The most The Line could score is 30. If it splits 3 points to The Line, 1 to Flock of Florida Friends, it's a tie. So this is one of the closest matchups in probably Faction Wars history. This is a matchup to keep a close eye on. The deadline for playing matches for Faction Wars 6 is January 31st, next Friday. So, by the time we have the next show, the results will be known. It's going to be close. This is a match to watch. The third matchup I'll talk about, the big picture versus the Constellation. Per the spreadsheet compiled by Jeff McPeak, special thanks to Jeff McPeak for compiling this. The score is 33 points, the Constellation, 19 points, the big picture, 10 possible points remain. To me, if I'm looking at this correctly, if there's only 10 possible points remaining, if the big picture gets all 10, it would be 29 to the big picture, 33 the Constellation. The Constellation would win. Now, it's not marked on here that the Constellation has mathematically eliminated them, but that's what I'm seeing looking at the results currently on the spreadsheet. Again, this is unofficial. General Manager John Clace will actually announce the winners, but Jeff McPeak keeps good records. This is almost certainly the result. The final matchup I'm going to talk about is the Higher Class versus the Refinery. Currently on the spreadsheet, 22 points for the Higher Class, 14 for the Refinery, 22 remain. That is unchanged from last week. Now, according to the spreadsheet, the Refinery has lost this match. Now, a week ago Friday, it was reported on Candy Shop Talk that the Refinery had dropped from Faction Wars 6. I did not report that on the show because that was the only source I had. I could not confirm that with any other source. This is a second source that the Refinery is not in Faction Wars anymore. They have lost the match officially to the Higher Class. So it looks like the Higher Class, Crime Wave, definitely moving on. The Constellation almost certainly moving on. Flock of Florida Friends or The Line remains to be seen very close. Again, factions have until January 31st to complete their matches, so this could change. The Refinery could decide to start playing again if they have stopped playing, and we could see more points scored by them. We'll just have to wait and see. That is where we are right now with Faction Wars 6 Phase 2. Speaking of deadlines, the deadline for the group stages of the Cookies Fortune Tournament is this Saturday, February 1st. There are 64 players in the tournament, 32 in the World Division, 32 in the Underworld Division. Those divisions broken up into subgroups of 8. A player plays the other 7 in the subgroup. From what I've been told, top 4 records per subgroup will advance to the next round. Players in that tournament have until this Saturday, February 1st, to play their matches and report them on Challenge. And while I'm talking about January 31st and February 1st, I might as well bring up CaptainCon, taking place in Warwick, Rhode Island from January 31st through February 1st and February 2nd. We have some updates about CaptainCon. First, product updates. On the last episode of Talk of the Universe, they showed off some of the competitors and entrance cards that will be released at CaptainCon and likely also on SuperShowTheGame.com. Not 100% on that. Definitely being released at CaptainCon. First, I'll talk about Scallywag competitors. There's going to be a Scallywag version of Agatha Mai, a Scallywag version of Terror Skull called Commodore Terror Skull, a Scallywag version of Dread Pirate Tech Support, and a brand new Scallywag competitor, Bartholomew Hook. Those will be debuting CaptainCon weekend. We've also seen 3 new Scallywag entrance cards: the Fairy Tale, the Hellkite, and the Matterhorn. These are ships because the Scallywag universe is a pirate-themed universe. Sticking with entrance cards that are also coming out that weekend: an entrance card called Seek and Ye Shall Find. It's a reskin of the entrance card that I believe is called Managed by Super Genie. There's a brand new entrance card coming out called Damn, That's Hateful. And there's a previously released entrance card, a round of Scallywager, that is coming back out. If you want to get that at CaptainCon, you will need to play a game of Scallywager. Playing a game of Scallywager will earn you a copy of that card. There's also a new stipulation releasing, Valoranian Warfare. This is a Scallywag-themed stipulation. The name is referencing the universe of Scallywager. It involves entrance cards from the Scallywag series. As the crowd meter increases, players are able to add Scallywag entrance cards to their competitor at the maximum crowd meter. All entrance cards are blank. It's a very interesting entrance card themed stipulation. The final product thing I have to bring up involves a Grand Pack competitor. There's been a change to the Jokerfish gimmick, releasing in the new wave of Grand Packs, also releasing CaptainCon weekend. If you want to see what all these competitors, entrances, stipulations, if you want to see what they do, check out the last episode of Talk of the Universe, either on Twitch or YouTube. The other bit of news I have revolving around CaptainCon is a featured match announcement. John Polverino, who is going to be at CaptainCon, challenged General Manager John Calais to a match. The General Manager also scheduled to be there, so this would be an in-person match. The challenge that John Polverino laid out is that if he wins, he would become the General Manager for Origins Game Fair. John Polverino announcing he will be at Origins Game Fair this year. Assuming General Manager Calais is not, John Polverino would run the events at Origins Game Fair if he wins. General Manager Calais made a counteroffer. He accepts the challenge, but if John Calais wins the match at CaptainCon against John Polverino, when the next Faction Wars happens, John Polverino will not be able to be on a team for Faction Wars. Instead, after every team is finalized, John Calais' faction mate, Mysterious, will choose a Faction Wars team that John Pulverino will become a part of. Now, I'm not sure how this would work because, and I'll use this year's Faction Wars as an example, let's assume they keep the same structure for Faction Wars 7. Each team has 7 players on the team. So if you have all these finalized teams, and then Mysterious gets to put John Pulverino on one of these teams, does that mean one of the 7 already on the team gets removed from that team? I'm not sure how the logistics of that would work. That to me is up in the air. Does he become just an alternate? That doesn't seem like that makes sense. It seems like he would have to be on the team, otherwise I wouldn't take the deal, unless he doesn't want to play in Faction Wars 7, John Pulverino that is. Or he's just so confident he's going to win the match, he doesn't care. But if that were to come to pass, how does that work? Is someone going to be expelled from their Faction Wars team to make room for John Pulverino? We'll have to see. That is the challenge that's been laid down. John Clace has accepted with his condition. We'll see if John Pulverino accepts that condition, and the match happens 1 week from the time I'm recording this. CaptainCon is next weekend, so next weekend's show we'll talk about the events, the releases, things like that at CaptainCon. CCC News. Last Wednesday, early in the afternoon, Pat Mulligan, who runs the 2024 Creative Competitor Competition and all of the competitions, announced the semifinal match for the CCC. It was a poll. There were 6 options listed in the poll. Each competitor's catchphrase was in the poll. Going from memory, JAC's catchphrase was "No Tricks in 86. Rambo Apocalypse was "Markin' Marquettes." Mr. Rumble was "Get Ready." The Game Master was "Never Stop Rolling." Masked Llama Black was "I Am the Legacy." And the Misfit should have been the most entertaining SOB in SRG, but they didn't have that listed. They listed Misfit Mania instead. So, error there on their part. Wrong catchphrase for the Misfits. But they had those 6 options. People could vote for up to 3 of those options. From what I understood, you could just pick 1. You could just pick 2. I know people who just picked 1. I know people who just picked 2. But you could vote for up to 3. The poll ran for 48 hours from 10 p.m. Eastern Wednesday night, the 22nd, to 10 p.m. Eastern Friday night, the 24th. I was informed by someone who voted on Friday that at the time they voted, there were over 270 votes cast in the poll. I don't know if that is counting each time someone votes. So if one person votes for 3, if that was considered 3 votes, or if it's just every time you click the vote button, that was a vote. But that's how many votes, at least as of Friday, were in this poll, over 270. The results for the semifinal round poll have not been published at the time I'm recording this. Hopefully, JAC made the final match. I can promise you, if he did, I will work as hard as possible as his steward to get him into Super Show the game, to try to win the match this year. That's all the news I have for you on the CCC. Hopefully they announce who won. I would assume the winners get announced during the next episode of Talk of the Universe. I don't know that for sure. That's just my best guess. Championship news. I'll start with Midwest Coast Championship news. Alec Ventresca won the Midwest Coast Championship from the Great Outdoors. The last time I discussed this, he has officially vacated the championship. The next Midwest Coast champion will be the winner of a match between the Flame Fighter and an as-yet unnamed opponent. The general manager for the Midwest Coast Championship, Colin Simon, has been looking for people to potentially challenge for the championship to be in that match against the Flame Fighter. If you want a shot, get your name out there, post, promo, let him know you want to be considered for that. I expect we will hear an announcement about who's going to be in that second spot soon. Nothing official from what I have been told as of yet. That's the single championship news. The tag team championship is going to be defended by the current champions, the New Hotness, against the Unionverse tag team of the Foreman and HR. Look for that match to get a date and time coming up soon. I don't have that yet. I expect we will have that sooner rather than later. We've had an announcement from the LFF Veterans Championship General Manager, Brian Schmidt. He's looking to put on something he's going to call the Military Games. He's looking for people from the following U.S. service branches: the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard. He would like to do an event with members of each branch, meaning an all-Navy event, an all-Air Force event, an all-Marines event, an all-Coast Guard event, so on and so forth. I believe that's all the branches currently. Nobody currently eligible from Space Force. And then that event will tie into a future challenger for the current Veterans Champion, Everett Stevens. If you notice that I did not mention the Army, that's because the current champion, Everett Stevens, is a United States Army veteran. There's going to be a separate event for Army veterans. That event will have a 2-week deadline when it does happen. The winner of the Military Games will be the next challenger for Everett Stevens. The challenger after that will be Jared Bridge. Jared Bridge has earned a shot at the LFF Veterans Championship. He will face whoever wins the match between Everett Stevens, the current champion, and the winner of the Military Games. That's what I have for you this week outside of online tournaments and featured matches. So let's go through those right now. I'll start Monday with Monday Night Fights. This was an Underworld Division tournament. World Division competitors were booked. All other singles competitors legal, subject to 2020 vision. 8 players signed up for the tournament. They did group stages. 2 groups, 4 players per group. Each player plays the other 3 in the group. Top 2 records per group advance to the top cut. The top 4 end up being in 4th place, playing as Ruby Renegade, Maddie Bar 1. In 3rd place, playing as Maestro, Zach Atherton. In 2nd place, playing as Flip Gordon, Dangerous Dylan Bias. And the winner, playing as the Uncaged Beast, Robert the Brain Dunn. Congratulations to the Brain for winning Monday Night Fights. Wednesday, there was an episode on Big Picture Premium's Twitch channel of Ignite. 2 matches on the match card for Ignite. The first match was a ladder match between the Mothman, playing as Jurassic Juggernaut Vince Steele, and the Influencer, playing as Jake Christ. The match goes to Crowd Meter 1. The winner at Crowd Meter 1, Mothman. Congratulations to the Mothman for winning the opening match of Wednesday Night Ignite. After this, before the next match, there was an announcement concerning the Hollywood Heavyweight Championship. The current champion, Simple Chuck, will have to defend the Hollywood Heavyweight Championship at CaptainCon against Hollywood Man. Now, there was a bit of contention here. Simple Chuck originally signed a contract with his challenger, Blank, unknown challenger. He is apparently going to have his legal team challenge the contract. Not sure what's going to happen with that, but that's out there. We're going to see a legal challenge, potentially, of the contract. The final match of the night was between the prize fighter, Simon Dabner, playing as TVA Commissioner Drew Matson, and T, playing as Bell. Standard singles match goes to crowd meter 3. The winner at crowd meter 3, the prize fighter. Congratulations to Simon Davner for winning the final match of Wednesday Night Ignite. Thursday, we have Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. This was also an Underworld Division tournament. Also 8 players, same structure as Monday Night Fights. There were stipulations in the top cut. In the semifinal round, all of the matches were Liger's Den matches. The finals match was a dark match. The semifinalists in the tournament end up being the Foreman as Vampire Hunter Foreman and Carlos Lumbre as King Brian Cage. The finalists were the Starbreaker Trey Cantrell playing as Wendigo versus Zach Ashley playing as Perfection Sean Spears. The winner of Thursday Night Fights, Zach Ashley. Congratulations to Zach Ashley for winning Thursday night. Friday, we have an episode of Candy Shop Talk. There was one featured match on Candy Shop Talk. This was for the Ace Championship. The champion, the prize fighter Simon Davner, playing as Ryan. His challengers were the Wolf Guardian, playing as Amazing Red, Chugonomics, playing as General Manager of Christmas Santa Claus, and Big Star Sam, playing as Rainbow Girl. This was effectively a Fatal 4-Way, although they didn't really use Fatal 4-Way rules. Instead of having bump outs or even bump ins, they had standard bumps. The Ace Championship rules were also suspended for this match. So it's kind of a standard Fatal 4-Way, but not really. It ends up going to crowd meter 3. The winner at crowd meter 3, new Ace Champion, Chugonomics. Congratulations to Chugonomics for winning the championship. The prize fighter did request that I mention he sees this as a screw job. So, just putting that out there, statement from the former champion, not happy with what happened in this championship match. After this, there was an announcement that on February 28th, the Teabag Tag Team Championship, a championship whose name I do not like or appreciate having to say, will be defended. The current champions, the Skyriders, will defend against the Misfit and a mystery partner who may or may not be Eddie Fury. We will have to see. That's what I have from Friday. Saturday, I have one locals report. This report was for RRCW, who plays at Reliquary Games in Chesterton, Indiana. They had a 7-player global division tournament. The winner would get a shot at the RRCW Championship. They're also hoping the winner would be considered for a future global tournament being held by Global General Manager the Cheetah. The 7 players in the tournament end up being the Meeple, playing as Trent, Aaron Livingston, playing as Kota Ibushi, the Zero-Win Champion, playing as Danhausen, Matthew Bodie, playing as Evilise, Ref Dave, playing as Chris Bay, the Flame Fighter, playing as the Mercenary Flip Gordon, and Faith Bodie, playing as Hiroshi Tanahashi. After the preliminary rounds, they cut to a top 4. You had Matthew Bodie coming in undefeated into the top cut, which gave him a general manager's favor. He used that to blank the stipulation in the semifinals. He could have chosen to call out his opponent. He chose to blank the stipulation instead. So he ends up facing the Meeple in a standard singles match. The other semifinal match, the Zero-Win Champion versus Aaron Livingston, that was a dark match. The winners end up being the Meeple and Aaron Livingston, so they face off main event stipulation match. The winner winning the tournament, getting a future shot at the RRCW Championship, potentially getting to be in the next global tournament, the Meeple. Congratulations to the Meeple for winning the RRCW Global Division Tournament. After this match, there was a match for the vacant RRCW Championship. The championship was vacated because the champion no longer owned the competitor that they were champion with. So there's a main event stipulation match between Faith Bodie as Hiroshi Tanahashi and Aaron Livingston using Mayhem. Faith Bodie got the shot because of her performance at the Back Alley Beatdown Creative Competitor Tournament. Aaron Livingston got a shot because she's a former champion. Because of that, she submitted 3 competitors to the general manager, to the bookers. Mayhem was chosen. That's why she's using Mayhem in this match. The match ends up going to Crowd Meter 5. The winner at Crowd Meter 5, new 3-time RRCW champion, Aaron Livingston. Congratulations to her for winning the main event stipulation match. Her next challenger will be the Flame Fighter. The Flame Fighter won the last local event for RRCW, so he will take the original Zack Sabre Jr. and challenge Aaron Livingston as Mayhem. Sunday, we have Sunday Night Fights. 3 matches on the match card for Sunday Night Fights. The opening match is the finals of the 2024 Rising Star Tournament. It's a main event stipulation match. The finalists are Bjorn the Norseman as himself and HR as the original version of Split. The match ends up going to Crowd Meter 1 at Crowd Meter 1, hitting the finish. The opponent unable to break out. Winner of the Rising Stars Tournament, HR. Congratulations to HR for winning the 2024 Rising Stars Tournament. Big win for HR. The second match of the night is for the LFF Tag Team Championship. The challengers, the tag team of Colby Cram and the Grump. Colby Cram playing as Raven, the Grump playing as Hardcore Alexander Slamilton. The champions, LFF's Most Dangerous Alliance. Ricky Riot as himself, the Collector Sean Loeb as the new version of Overdog. This is relatively short for a tag team match. It does not go past Crowd Meter 0. The winners at Crowd Meter 0, new champions, the team of Colby Cram and the Grump. They were just able to win the dice rolls, hammer submission finishes at Chris Pate until he had no stops, get the finish. I believe it was a 10 for the finish roll. Champions could not break out. We have new champions. The first challengers for the new champions, Colby Cram and the Grump, will be Kirk Polka and Robert the Brain Dunn. Kirk Polka and the Brain are getting this shot because their Faction Wars team won Faction Wars 5. No date and time yet on when that match is going to happen, but that is the next championship match. The first challengers for new champions, Colby Cram and the Grump. The final match of the night is for the LFF World Heavyweight Championship. The challenger, Chris Tapley, challenging with Slime Girl. The champion, Yasmin, champion with Runtime Terror. This is a very short match. It's only a few turns. At Crowd Meter 0, the champion plays the finish Vile Driver. Finish grapple number 29. If stopped, you lose the match via disqualification. Chris Tapley stops it with, I believe, a Dragon Gate crash. And so Chris Tapley wins the championship match, but because it's a win via disqualification, Yasmin remains champion. Congratulations to Chris Tapley for the win. Now, this is the second time the champion has retained via disqualification. Tonight, against Chris Tapley at Gen Con in 2024 against the Grump. At this point, with 2 retentions via disqualification, the champion should be booked in no disqualification matches going forward. In my opinion, it is not good for the health of the game to have the champion continually retain via disqualification. Once is iffy, twice suggests that there needs to be some measure taken so there is no third time. Will that happen? I don't know. I think it should. I think at this point, you can't have a champion retaining via disqualification over and over. It's just not good for the health of the game. It's going to be up to General Manager John Calais to book the next championship match. Will he take this into account? I don't know. But I think after 2 retentions via disqualification, the conversation needs to be had. Booking Yasmin to defend the championship in no disqualification matches is something I think its time has come. It's time to start booking no disqualification matches, potentially multi-man matches. Something needs to change with the current booking of the LFF World Heavyweight Championship. That was Sunday Night Fights. As far as things for next week, there will be Dojo Tuesday night, twitch.tv/srguniverse. There will likely be Monday Night Fights. There will likely be Thursday Night Fights. There will be no Sunday Night Fights this week. There's supposed to be Candy Shop Talk Friday, live from CaptainCon on their Twitch channel. One other thing I want to mention this weekend, in addition to being CaptainCon, it's the Royal Rumble from WWE. Every year, Super Show the Game hosts Rumble lotteries. You buy a spot, 30 spots per lottery, 1 for the men's Rumble, 1 for the women's Rumble. They randomly draw an entrant number for each person in the lottery. If the person who wins the Rumble has the entrant number that you have, you win the ability to create a competitor in Super Show the Game. There were 2 lotteries for the men's Royal Rumble. There were 2 for the women's Royal Rumble. Those are no longer on the website. Presumably they sold out. There is a lottery for the men's Royal Rumble, a 3rd lottery. $30 if you'd like to enter. You can choose as a promo card either Spin Wheel Kick or Butterflying Brainbuster. They are still in stock. I don't know how long they will remain in stock. At some point next week, potentially Friday, there will be a stream where everyone who's in the lottery will be given their entrant number. Everyone for the men's lotteries, the 2 of those. Everyone for the women's lottery, the 2 of those, the ones that have sold out. And we may see for the 3rd lottery, that one is still in progress. That will have to happen before Saturday because the Royal Rumble is on Saturday. So I expect it to be no later than Friday and likely streamed either on Facebook or Twitch. Facebook more likely. With that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.